Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?
Hello and welcome to my world. My name is Stig Ulriksen, and today I'm going to present you with something that's not from this studio where I normally have my guests. No, we are going all the way back to 1995. And in 1995, we had a visit here in Denmark. It was my good friend Henrik Knudsen from Memphis Mansion. At that time, he did not have Mansion, which is a copy of Elvis Presley's house, who invited Charlie Hodge to Denmark to meet the Danish Elvis fans. And the thing you're going to see now is the show I recorded back then with Charlie. It was a great pleasure, I can tell you, to spend some days with Charlie Hodge here in Denmark. He was a very, very nice guy and very funny guy. And that you can see here in this stage show also. You can also find my other program with Charlie Hodge where I made an interview with him. Welcome to my world. I talk about Elvis Presley here on this channel. Like there's many other interviews with very, very interesting Elvis people who knew Elvis. So have fun with this one and stay tuned because I'm going to put up more programs with Charlie Hodge. So find the little button saying abonnement or whatever it's called in your language and press it so you get information when I put up new programs. I hope you like it. Have fun.
En gang til, mine damer og herrer. Måske står I op, jeg ved ikke, hvad I gør, men Mr. Charlie Hodge.
Hello. It is a pleasure for me to be in Denmark. I love it here. I just have too short a time. I wish I could stay 2 weeks and see all of your country here. It's so lovely. I got in yesterday and Henrik asked me, he said, what do you want to go see? I said, the boats. Because I love boats. And he didn't know where any was. Okay. Well, I paid a lot of money for these teeth. I want to show them off. See? It cost me a lot of money. No. But I really enjoy it. I'm busy. We've been having a lot of fun together. I give him a bad time always. But he's fun. He's a nice man. If you sell these, I get half. And we have Master Fat Man over here. Wrong side. So yeah. And Master Fat Man told me that he met Elvis. And I told him, yes, I remember very well. It was Master Fat Man and his 2 friends. There were 3 of them that came to meet Elvis. 2 of his friends, Master Fat Man. There's Master Fat Man, Joseph Stalin, and Mahatma Gandhi. They all came together to meet Elvis. His friends.
Han er sådan en showman. You could do that all day long, couldn't you?
I did that in an Elvis movie. In an Elvis movie, I played a gay barber. It wasn't typecasting. It's just a part. But I played a gay barber in Clambake. You just saw it. Did you?
I have Scott on the line.
Huh? Oh, yeah, give me that horn there. Yes. Hello, Scott. What is your daddy talking? Well, tell me, boy, where in tarnation are you?
Right now, I'm sitting in a Hayward oil station.
That's certainly a step in the right direction. Now, listen, son, maybe you'll be good enough to tell me just why you took off from here like a big, tall, scared jackrabbit in short grass.
Look, Paul, I'm sorry I left without telling you I was leaving. You were pretty busy, and I just wanted to get away for a while.
Get away? Huh? Or run away?
Mr. Hayward.
And what about that poor little child, that fiancée of yours you left practically waiting at the altar? I thought she's supposed to be the real thing this time.
I did, too, till I found out it wasn't me she was in love with. It was your money.
Don't you understand, Scott? That's what money's for, to buy all them good little goodies you need to make you happy.
You all understand English, most of you? Okay. Well, Elvis used to play little tricks on me. I can't sit down and do this. I got to stand up. But we were once, we were in Hawaii on holiday, and Elvis's cousin, Patsy Gamble, called me in my room. We were having dinner in Elvis's suite that evening in Hawaii at the Hilton Hotel. And Patsy said, "Are you dressed yet?" I said, "Yes, I am." She said, "Well, you must hurry down here." I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, one of the waiters is gay, and Elvis wants you to put him on." So I said, "Okay." So I got dressed, and I walked into Elvis's suite. I said, "Don't make me laugh. I can't tell the story then." I said, "Oh, the food's here." And Elvis and Priscilla ran out on the balcony. And Joe and Joni and Patsy and Gigi ran out on the other balcony and left me alone in there with them suckers, man. Well, you have to keep it going because they may be bigger than you are and beat you up, you know. So I said, "Listen, I said, all I had was a hamburger and a french fries and a milkshake. Is it here?" And this waiter said, "Yes, it is." And then he went. I ran out on the other balcony. But we would, see, Elvis we'd do things like that just for fun on the road, you know. I remember one time, we had done a concert on tour. And after the show that night, we were having a little party. And Elvis was seated over here on the couch, talking to a girl. And I was standing inside this little bar, inside there, and J.D. Sumner, the bass singer, was over here on this end. And so the waiter came in bringing our drinks. And he walked in like this. Well, when I saw it, I went into my act. And so he set the drinks down. And he looked over at Elvis. And he said, "He's beautiful." And I said, "He's gorgeous." And J.D. Sumner went, "Ha, ha, 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 ha," like that. And Elvis ran over there and pulled J.D. out of there and said, "Don't do that, J.D. You'll get him killed." He didn't want him laughing at me, and the guy finding out I wasn't that way. because I'm not. I have a girlfriend. Her name is Walter. It's terrible. I have a very nice girlfriend. I tell you what happens. See, I enjoy talking to fans and telling stories. And if you ask me a question about Elvis, it will sometimes remind me of a story. And I'll just go on talking for hours. And of course, unless you have to leave.
Can you go now?
You don't have to go anywhere. If you can stay here, I'll talk a long time.
Charlie, please tell us about Are You Laughing Tonight? The song Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Are you lonesome?
The laughing version.
Okay, the laughing version of Are You Lonesome Tonight? We were on stage at the Hilton in Las Vegas. And Elvis used to do things to get me to where I'd laugh. I get tickled. And I get tickled easily. And then also the Sweet Inspirations and the quartet. He'd always do something to make us laugh. Not you. And so he was doing Are You Lonesome Tonight and said, gaze at your window and picture me there. Instead, he said, do you gaze at your bald head and wish you had hair? Well, it cracked me up. And so he looked over at me and I'm laughing. I'm laying across the piano laughing. And my laugh made Elvis laugh, and his laugh made me laugh. So he heard me laugh and he got tickled. He looked over at the quartet and the Sweet Inspirations. There was no help there. They were laughing also. So everywhere he'd look at his friends, everybody was laughing. That made him laugh more. Except one person. Sissy Houston kept singing her part as Whitney Houston's mother. And Elvis said, sing it, baby, because she's the only one still working, and just kept laughing. Now later on, see, you get me out of, you remind me of stories, see? How that originally began, though, was we were doing a movie, Elvis, That's the Way It Is. Did you see Elvis, That's the Way It Is, the movie? Okay. Well, you know, when we were doing the rehearsals at MGM Studios, you know, they showed the James Burton, Jerry Sheff, and we were all in casual clothes just rehearsing for the show. Well, there was one scene they left out of the movie. And what it was is I was sitting on a stool, you know, just legs crossed, smoking a cigarette. And Elvis was across from me playing a guitar. And Joe Esposito's standing right here. And the camera was over here. So Elvis starts singing, Are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? And I started doing the Jordanaires part. All four of them. I was doing, you know, and Elvis saying, Are you lonesome tonight? And then he got to the talking part, you know, where he says, I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. And I started doing the melody. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Well, while we was doing this, the camera was over here. And Elvis is singing, and I'm going, ooh. And the camera started coming in closer until Elvis was talking, saying, I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. And I'm going, ooh, ooh, ooh. Until Joe Esposito was no longer in the picture. It's just me and Elvis. And in my mind's eye, I began to see what the camera was seeing. That's two men looking at each other. And one of them saying, I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. And the other one's going, ooh. And I began to laugh. I went, ooh, and Elvis was kicking me under the camera, saying, keep it up, you know. And I must have laughed too loud, and they couldn't hear Elvis. So it ended up on the cutting room floor. So that's how that portion began. And then Elvis and I began to do it on stage. When he'd be in concerts, there's 18,000 people out there. And Elvis said, Charlie, tonight I want to show the people that I can still play guitar. So bring my stool out for me to sit on and my guitar and the microphone for me to sing into. Well, there were two microphones. The one he had, which didn't have a stand, and my microphone, which had a stand. So I put that microphone in front of Elvis so you could hear his guitar. And then I would stand there like this, like a mannequin. And I wouldn't move. And Elvis would do, That's All Right, Mama. He'd do a little bit of I Got a Woman. He'd do, in the middle of summertime, he'd do Blue, Blue Christmas. Because everybody liked it. They didn't care what time of year it was, just hear Elvis sing. And then he started doing Are You Lonesome Tonight? That's the last song. And we never rehearsed this. It just happened. In fact, I have a photograph that I'm going to be selling back here of me and Elvis showing you how we would laugh during that, because we never faked it. It was always honest laughter. But Elvis was singing Are You Lonesome Tonight? And I'm not moving. I'd stand there just like that. And he's doing Are You Lonesome Tonight? And just before he got to the talking part, he said, Tell me, dear, are you lonesome tonight? And looked me over like this, you know. And then he would start to talking. I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. And we'd do that, and he'd look at me, and he would get tickled. And we would laugh all the way through it. And it began to do, like when he'd want to sit down and relax, that became a part of our show. But we never rehearsed it. It just happened, and we never faked the laughter. I would get so tickled sometime I couldn't talk. But it was one of those fun things that was we used to do that I wish they had it on video, because I think you would have enjoyed that, seeing Elvis being Elvis and enjoying what he's doing, like just even playing between me and the two of us there. Did you like that story? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You see, one question will get me going on a whole bunch of things. How are you?
You?
Nice to see you again. Okay.
Charlie.
Yes.
Somebody in the audience asked if you would tell us what you think made Elvis famous.
What made Elvis famous?
In your opinion.
In my opinion, okay. Have a seat. You comfortable? Okay. Truthfully, I think what we all felt from Elvis was not only this wonderful voice, this magnificent man's voice, and the beautiful songs that he chose to record. What you were feeling and what made you love Elvis was Elvis had a love tone in his voice. And when he sang a song, whether it was a fast song or a slow song, that's what you were feeling. You were feeling his love for you, because he loved his audiences. He loved to sing for people. So you were feeling, and you still feel today when you listen to those songs, his magnificent amount of love he was able to give to you. And also he felt it when you returned it. So I think that's what made Elvis so famous, and is keeping him so famous today, is that love that you can hear every time you play an Elvis Presley record. Okay?
Thank you, Charlie. Tell us about how you met Elvis the first time and in the army.
Thank you. Today, a lot of people think that I met Elvis when we were in the military, in the army. And I met Elvis actually about 1956. Elvis used to watch me on television.
Yes, I'm satisfied with Jesus. Well, he said he would be my comfort, and he said he would be my guide. Well, I looked at my hands looked new. I looked at my feet and laid it too. And ever since that wonderful day, my soul's been satisfied. You know, the Lord moves in mysterious ways. There's the one to perform. Where he plants his feet on every stage, he rides every storm. He picks my feet for running, my eyes the open wide. And he picks my tongue so I can say, praise God, I'm satisfied. Oh, satisfied.
I was with a group, a quartet, and those days known as the Foggy River Boys. It was a spiritual quartet, much like the Jordanaires, J.D. Sumner and the Samps, that type of quartet. And I went on that show on national television when I was 20 years old, and Elvis was 20 also. I'm from December 14th to January 8th older than Elvis. At least my hair is. December 14th last year, my hair turned 60 years old. I didn't. And my hair is white. My hair is white. Got it real white. I dyed it medium brown. I dyed Elvis's hair also. So I dye my hair so I can get those young ladies. I can go with the young ladies. You know, those are about 40, 45 years old. The young ladies. My young ladies. Anyway, I met Elvis when I was appearing with the Ozark Jubilee with Red Foley, who was Pat Boone's father-in-law. So I've actually known Pat Boone longer than I have Elvis. But anyway, we were on tour and we played Memphis, and Elvis came out to see the show about 1956, and he came backstage and met the star of our show, Red Foley, and then over to meet my quartet. And not just me, just the entire quartet. And this is 56, and I didn't meet Elvis again until 1958 when we were both drafted into the military in the Army. And I was in 15th Cavalry and he was in another outfit at Fort Hood, Texas. So I went over to reacquaint myself with Elvis. And I knew Elvis didn't recognize me because I had a crew cut, you know, all the hair cut off, like all the guys in the Army. And so I mentioned someone we both knew, a friend of ours, Wanda Jackson. I said, when's the last time you saw Wanda Jackson? And he looked at me and he said, you look very familiar to me and I can't place you. And I said, I was the lead singer with the Foggy River Boys. He said, hey man, I used to watch you on television every Saturday night. Made me feel about that tall. And that's how I met Elvis. Henry. Okay, until Henry gets back with some more questions. Somebody got a question out there that you want to ask?
Are you singing harmony with Elvis on the song for Could I Fall in Love?
Could I Fall in Love? I sung harmony with Elvis on a lot of songs, but not Could I Fall in Love, no. I sang on a gospel song, His Hand in Mine, is Elvis and I singing a duet.
Do you know who is singing harmony with Elvis on that song?
My love I offer. It's Elvis singing with Elvis.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he did that. A lot of times I forget songs that I sang with Elvis because on some of them, when Elvis recorded them, he sang with himself. And then on stage, he couldn't do that. It was too hard on his throat. So I sang it with him. I did on an awful lot and in the live performances, but on some songs, and I have to hear the song because I don't remember them. We did so many songs, and it's hard for me to remember because, see, I'm not an Elvis fan. I'm an Elvis friend. See? And we would record an album, like for a movie. And when that album was released, we had already done 2 more pictures and 2 more albums. So we forgot about those songs. So a lot of things, we recorded so much material, I've forgotten over the years, unless I go back and specifically listen to it, and then I can tell you if it's Elvis or me. But I sung so much with him, I really forget.
Okay.
Yeah? All right, thank you.
You know, Master Fatman, he knows that you are into yoga. Did you learn that with Elvis or? Yoga?
Yoga, it wasn't did Elvis learn yoga. Elvis read about yoga. He didn't do the positions. A lot of the things that are in yoga he did not practice. He was aware of yoga. He had read about it. And he was a member of Self-Realization and Fellowship in Los Angeles. Are you familiar with that? Paramahansa Yogananda? He was a member of that, and he knew Sri Dhamata. But he didn't really practice yoga all that much. And except he did, because yoga, part of yoga is the exercises you do. Well, the way Elvis performed on stage would be considered a type of yoga. So in that sense, he would be practicing yoga every night before an audience. Okay?
Okay, Charlie, we have just seen some pictures of Elvis from '77, and looking at those pictures compared to the '50s, '60s, you know, he's looking very ill. You know, from outside, you know, could you have done something, or should you have done something, or could anybody have done something about it?
A lot of people make the comment that, well, if I was there, I would have gone up and I'd said, now, Elvis, listen to me. No, you wouldn't have. Now, you think about your boss. How often do you go up to your boss and say, hey, listen to me? One time. You see? So people say they would do something. Elvis listened to a lot of people, and he would listen. Elvis knew that he was overweight. Elvis did not know, nor did anyone else, including the doctors, how sick Elvis was. Because in the first place, when you go to a doctor, he doesn't know anything. He's really a very stupid man. Until you tell him what's wrong with you. Then he'll tell you what to do. Go home and take an aspirin. Well, Elvis never complained about his heart. He never said that he had a pain in his heart. And unless you tell a doctor something like that, he won't check it. He only checks the things you tell him about. Now, we knew that Elvis had hypertension, high blood pressure. His mother had that. And they gave him medicine, we used to call it when I was a child, but the media likes to use the great big magic catch-all phrase, drugs. So yes, Elvis took drugs for hypertension. I take drugs for high blood pressure. Same thing. Now, if I stop taking those drugs, I might die. So it's necessary. It's part of my lifestyle. I don't like it, but it's necessary. Also, he had glaucoma, which he had to take a drug or he would have gone blind. So it was necessary for him to be on that drug. You see? He had a bad liver, just like his mother, and he had to take a drug for that. So yes, he was on that drug. He also had a twisted colon, which is very, very painful. And he had to take a very heavy narcotic for that to not be painful. So he took a drug for that. He did not use street drugs, the kind you buy from someone. He did not use it just to get high. He used it for what was necessary. That was wrong in his body. That was the same thing wrong in his mother's body, and the same thing wrong in the mother's two brothers' body. And all four of them, Elvis, the mother, and the two brothers, were very large when they died. So it was inherent on the Smith side of the family to die of a heart attack. And they discovered during the autopsy that Elvis had had 3 other heart attacks already. So there were weakened valves in his heart already, just like his mother, just like the mother's 2 brothers. So that is why Elvis took those things. And could we have done anything about it? What do you do for a man that has high blood pressure, except see that he takes his medicine? What do you do for a man who has glaucoma, except see that he takes his medicine or drugs? You see? What do you do for a man who has a twisted colon, except see that he takes his drugs so he won't have the pain? So what would you have done? You would have made sure he got his drugs so he wouldn't be in pain. You would have done the same thing that everyone working for Elvis did. Make the man happy. Because he didn't have any problems other than they were health problems. He didn't use street drugs. He didn't like people who used street drugs. In fact, he was against that sort of thing. But the media has a way of not telling you the whole story. They give you just the portion of the story that will help sell their paper or their magazine. They won't tell you the rest of the story. We have a newscaster in America who does a story, and then he does a commercial, and he says, and come back for the rest of the story. So I'd like to extend this just a little farther, if you don't mind, and give you the rest of the story. I'm sure you've all heard about the many, many drugs that were in Elvis's name that was his doctor had given him, supposedly. Well, that's all true. But now the rest of the story. Elvis carried his doctor on tour. And he wasn't just Elvis's doctor, he was my doctor. And everyone else on tour. There were 84 people on tour, and he was their doctor. If anyone needed a sleeping medication, if someone cut themselves, if someone sprained their ankle, he had everything with him that he might need on tour for whatever went wrong with any one of you and you're out somewhere. He had that with him. Because a doctor can only write prescriptions in the state he's licensed in. So he couldn't, when we were on tour in other states, he couldn't write a prescription. He had to have that medicine with him in case he needed it. And they were all in Elvis's name, so it could be a tax write-off for income tax purposes. So you see, when you hear the rest of the story, it makes a lot of sense. But the media didn't tell you that portion. They just told you about all the drugs. not what they were for. Does that answer your question? Right?
Vi har lige 2 spørgsmål til, og så vil Charlie, når de 2 spørgsmål er færdige, svaret, så vil han gå ned i hjørnet dernede og stå og skrive autografer. Jeg vil så lige fortælle jer, at vi har lavet en aftale med Charlie Hodge om at komme over, og vi har fået et pænt honorar, eller han har fået et pænt honorar for at komme over, og vi har fået det til en fair pris. På det. It's about money, so don't you think about that. No. Men den del af aftalen, den går på, at når Charlie skriver autografer, vil han med glæde skrive på arme og ben og tøj og billeder og plader og så videre. Men han vil gerne, at I køber et billede af ham, fordi det er en del af hans honorar. Han sælger billederne for 30 kroner stykket, og han har 2 forskellige. Så lige have det i mente, når I kommer derop. Og I står i kø langs med salgsboden dernede. Men vi får lige 2 spørgsmål til. Please sit down, Charlie. Charlie, there's a, everyday question. Is Elvis still alive?
Yes, he is. Look around you. Look at all these. He must be alive. In fact, I saw him this morning down at the Holiday Inn having a cup of coffee with John Lennon and Ricky Nelson. That's true. He came back. Elvis came back last May. He came back last May for Lisa and Michael's wedding. He did. And there's proof that he came back because they found a blue suede shoe in a certain part of Michael's anatomy. Okay?
Okay.
But I truthfully, and I tell you with my hand raised to God, I can feel Elvis's spirit when it's around me. And since I've been working at this theater in Pigeon Forge and doing this tribute to Elvis every night when we're open during the season, twice since I've been there, in the last 2 years I've been there, I've felt Elvis come into the theater and stand by my side. I can feel his spirit when it's there.
Is he here now?
No, he's over in... He's sitting over by Fat Man. No, but I swear to you that's the truth. I felt into where there was a definite presence, and I could feel that it was Elvis. And occasionally I can feel, I've been singing before at home and just feel him for a few minutes and then he'd be gone. It's like he comes by to see how I'm doing, which is kind of nice. And so some of these people that believe they feel Elvis around them at times, I believe them too, because Elvis was that type of man. He would go visit his fans and check on them occasionally, I believe. And he's probably around here somewhere today. So if you feel him, it's okay. He won't stay long. He'll just come by to see how you are and see if you're enjoying yourself.
Charlie, we are extremely proud to have you here today, but somebody in the audience asked me to ask you, what have you been doing all these years after Elvis died?
I took a nap. I have been over the years, I have come to Europe several times. I once came to England and stayed with a friend of mine in Norwich, England, for 10 months. I went to Australia twice and stayed 3 months with a friend of mine down there and made some personal appearances. And then I just started back in 1988. I began to do some salutes to Elvis of doing shows that we'd take on the road with a young man in Canada. I started out with him in Florida, in Tampa, Florida, with Gary Wayne Bridges doing a salute to Elvis. And what we do is like an Elvis concert. And he had a wonderful voice. He sounded like Elvis. He didn't look that much like him. He's a big guy, looked like a wrestler, you know. But he could put on the jumpsuit and the wig, and he resembled Elvis. And with the sound, it was a good, and he didn't try to act like Elvis off stage, only on stage, where he was portraying Elvis as an actor. And then off stage, he was just himself. And we toured, and we did Florida. We went out to Laughlin, Nevada, and worked in a casino out there doing a salute to Elvis. And then we went to Canada and toured for a while. And the show never did really get going too much because it was too costly to play these places. And you have to pay the band and everything, pay the hotel, you have to pay their food and everything. It was too costly. And so it was hard to do a lot of concerts and a lot of tours. And so then I left Canada and I went to Alabama 3 years ago. And I stayed at home for a year and didn't do anything, waiting on these people to do some more Elvis salutes. Then I was talking to a friend of mine in Kentucky, and she told me about this show in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, where every night this young man does a salute to Elvis. So I called and told him I'd like to come up and see the show. And I went up there, and we had a nice long talk. And I went back home. And 2 weeks later, I came back up to see the show again and to continue our talk. And he invited me to get up and do the comedy that I do. I do comedy, telling stories that would be hard for me to translate, and the type of stories I do, because I use other characters' voices, like someone who does impressions of many people. And that's the type of comedy I do, and it's hard to do and translate. And I do that about 10 minutes, and then I come out during the show and I sang some duets with him, like Help Me, His Hand in Mine, Suspicious Minds. And then I went back to Alabama, and the next morning there was a phone call that says, can you start to work Friday? So I've been there for 2 years now, this June, doing a salute to Elvis, and we do it every month. Now, January and February, we did Friday and Saturday. February, Friday and Saturday. March, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. April, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. As the climate gets warmer, we finally start in June. We do 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, a salute to Elvis every night. And it's a very successful show. People travel from all over the United States and Canada. And now, since some of the people from foreign countries, England, different places, know where I am, they're coming there to see the show. And it's as close to an Elvis concert as you'll see anywhere. It's done with a lot of respect and a lot of love. So that's what I'm doing now. It's nice at my age to be able to sit down and do a tribute to a friend every night, and then be able to go home after I get off work and look forward to doing it the next day. If you're ever in Tennessee, it's all the way like, here's Memphis, here's Nashville, here's Knoxville in East Tennessee. And we're about 30 miles south of Knoxville, and we do it Memories Theaters, the name of it, and we do a salute to Elvis. And so that's what I've been doing the last 2 years, and I must tell you that I'm very, very happy, because I get to meet the Elvis fans, and a lot of them come over and over. We've had 1 or 2 people that come to our shows every night. They haven't missed a show since I've been there. They come and they appreciate the show we're doing so much. So if you get a chance to come over there, we'd love to have you. And that's what I'm doing now and what I've been doing. Thank you.
Mine damer og herrer, Mr. Charlie Hodge.
Thank you. I told him I wasn't through. He said, yes, you are. So what they're planning is me to go back here and do an autograph session and maybe some photographs. And then later on, they're going to have a band up here, and I'm going to sing some, I think. So I'll get to talk to you some more. And I'm enjoying this. Please come up and say hello, because I want to meet. I told in 1978, I made the statement, I would like to meet as many of Elvis's fans as I possibly can to thank them. Because in giving Elvis a good life, they gave all of us who worked with Elvis a very good life. And I thank you very much. I continue to thank you. And I want to see you again. I want to come back here and spend more time so I can see those boats.
Yeah. Again, Charlie Hodge.
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?